So you're going to take your cushion behind your back. If you've got blocks, you can bring them either side of your mat or just another cushion under your legs. Remember, you're bringing the cushion in to touch your lower back. Soles of the feet are going to touch, knees are drawing outward, and you're just going to slowly lower yourself down onto the cushion. Make sure that the head and the neck feel nice and supported. And then if there's any pinching in the lower back, just scoop the buttocks under so that there's a feeling of length in the lower back rather than pinchiness. And once you're settled with the upper body, just check in with how it feels for the legs. Your knees should be resting, or your thighs at least should be resting on something, so that there's not too much sensation for the moment of the inner thigh. And then just invite the eyes to close once you've got the main areas of the body settled. And as you close the eyelids, let it be just a very gentle touching of the eyelids. You can let the mouth be open or closed, but let the teeth be lightly apart, the tongue relaxed away from the roof of the mouth. And then check in with your arms and your shoulders, in front of the chest area there. Let's see if we can take the arms just a little bit wider away from the body, so that we can let this practice be one of nourishing through the tissues around the literal heart, but then also around the lungs on top of that area. And that sensation of taking the arms, or the action of taking the arms a little wider away from the body, allows gravity and time to do all of the work for us in terms of opening up that tighter area in the front of the shoulders that most of us happen to have from the way we spend our days sitting or standing. And then just tune in to how you're feeling in the mind. Start to notice if the mind is able to slow down a little now that you provided a level of comfort for your body. Now that you've given yourself permission to be still. Notice if the mind is wandering away to a certain thought, a certain memory. And if it is, just see if you can allow yourself to park whatever it is that you're focusing on and guide your awareness back into the breath. So as we breathe, let's take a really nice, nourishing inhale and see if we can guide with our awareness that breath all the way down towards the belly. And then notice the expansion around the ribs. So the lower part of the ribs start to expand, the center part of the ribs and the chest start to expand. And then there's that lifting upward around the top of the chest and throat. And then naturally everything draws back to center as we breathe out. Nothing is forced about this practice of awareness. So just let the breath come and go as it is. And our focus today is really on slowing down the thoughts, slowing down the mind, using the breath as an anchor for us to be present in the here and now, training ourselves to get into that habit of being able to find calmness anytime we need it, recharging our batteries. So notice now as a few moments have passed, if maybe your inhales have started to lengthen and deepen. Notice also if the exhales start to be a little longer in their length. If there's any discomfort in the legs, know that you can straighten the legs out as if you were in Shavasana here instead. There's no pressure to stay with the bend in the knees. And now as we start to draw ourselves away from the busy part of our nervous system, that adrenaline-focused aspect of doing and activity, Let's start to consciously choose to slow down the breath a little bit more. So as you inhale, let that just naturally come as it is. But now when you start the exhale, can you let the exhale slow down and perhaps be a little bit longer than the inhale? And if it helps you to count the length of your inhale and then let the exhale be longer than that count, feel free to use that as a tool. Otherwise, just a rough measure. The inhale is one length, the exhale just a little bit longer. And as all of that starts to unwind, know that you're choosing to draw yourself into that calmer part of the nervous system now, where everything inside of you starts to get nurtured. The brain is aware that you're safe, there's no danger. And it gives you the chance to really unwind, to relax, muscles at ease. More potential for release, physically and mentally. And some of you might start to notice a little opening through the inner thigh. Just make sure that the muscles of the legs are relaxed. No gripping or holding the legs in place. 3 more rounds of breath, just like this. Now when the third breath finishes, just slowly start to come back to a natural rhythm. A breath that feels like you can stay with it through the practice. Not too challenging. And while you come back to that natural breath, just tune into how you're feeling. How the mind is doing now, if there's a little bit more focus, calmness, a feeling of having slowed down, choosing to do so. Start to walk the arms in a little bit closer towards the body. And then begin to use your hands underneath your knees to slowly guide the knees towards each other, up towards the sky. And then just as slowly rolling away from your cushions and resting on your side body just for a moment. And then just release your cushion from behind you as you slowly start to make your way up to a gentle seat. Take your time to arrive. Okay, gently open the eyes once you get there, and you'll see that I've just got a block resting behind me now on the second height. You can just as easily use a book if you want to. And we're going to use the corner of our block or our book to just massage out those areas at the base of the skull, okay? So an area that we can hold on to a lot of tension here. So how I like to do this is just lying down, making sure that all 4 corners of the block are firm to the ground. Legs can be with a bend, feet out wide, knees together, or just relax the legs down. Just going to move my mic. Okay, and then with the head resting on the edge of the block, your arms are going to relax wherever you need them to. You're just going to slowly start to move side to side with the head. And you're gently massaging into the tissues or the fascia, myofascia release work that we're doing here now. And it's going to feel like there are potentially some little areas of tension, knotted tissue that's lingering in the back of the neck here. And if it feels like you find one of those areas, you're just going to pause there, or maybe focus on massaging back and forth just that little area. And eventually you're going to feel as though that knot in the tissue starts to release, in which case you'll move your way along to the next area that needs your attention. And just check in and see how it feels. Sometimes these tissues can feel like it will take a long time to release, and sometimes they can release really easily. The key is to keep the breath nice and slow, relaxed. Keep the muscles around the eyes and the mouth nice and relaxed. Changing the block position if you feel like it's not quite in the spot that you need it to be. And just letting everything slow down. Your focus on the breath, your focus on the sensations. That's all that we want the mind to be attending to right now. And breath is slow and relaxed in the same way as when we started the pranayama part of our practice. Slowing down. Got about 5 or 6 more breaths here. Don't worry about counting though. I'll let you know when we're done. Two more slow, indulgent breaths. And when the second breath finishes, just lift your head enough to release the block or book from behind your head, and then lie yourself back down onto the mat. If you have a bend in the knees, you can let the legs just relax down to a comfortable place and just pause with the eyes closed. And we're just going to observe if there's any sensation around the back of the neck and skull area here. Sometimes we can have a feeling of tingling. It might be a warm feeling or a cool feeling. Some sensitivity here as we release the tension. Sometimes we feel that leaving the body. Three slow, deep, nourishing breaths just here. When your third breath finishes, just slowly begin to reach the arms up overhead in a nice relaxed way, so not with any effort to move in any particular way. And we're coming into Bananasana, which is a banana shape or new moon shape pose. So we're going to lift the upper body first of all, and we're going to shuffle the upper body over towards the left side of our mats, relaxing the arms back down to the ground. We're going to keep the bottom on the floor and then move the legs one by one over to the left as well. So the sensation is going to come through the right side of the body. And then once you've settled in, just make sure the right leg is relaxed, the muscles are switched off. Check in with the right arm, and if it feels like the muscles are working or it's too much pressure, just bring the right arm back a little to the right with a bend in the elbow. Now some of you might feel like the legs are really far apart. Mine always are. And some of you might find that the legs are really close together, and if it feels accessible for you at any time, you can cross the right ankle over the left here. And some of us, the design of our bones will mean that we stay as we are, and that's okay as well. So just take some time to explore the sensation that arrives into the right side of the body. In the knowledge that any time it feels like there's a little release through these tissues, you can make the shape a little more challenging by moving your arms and legs a little further over. In the same way, if it feels like it's too much challenge, you can ease away from it by doing the reverse. And this shape is a really nice opportunity to get into the entire outside line of the body, both physically and energetically. When we're working with Chinese meridians, this shape is linked to the gallbladder meridian line, which partners with the liver. And they're responsible for helping us to release tension, release frustrations or anything lingering inside of us from the past, with a focus on trying to find that sense of balance and inner harmony. And then physically, this is an area that we're thought to store a lot of our emotions in. So there might be feelings of the past coming up from time to time. And it might literally be a feeling of release in the lower back, outer hip area, the shoulders, lots of different things that might show up for each of us practicing today. Start to explore how it feels compared to when you first arrived into the shape, the first few minutes already having passed by. Feel free to make adjustments to go deeper as and when and if you feel the need. How does it feel to guide the breath into that area through the outside line of the body? Can you focus the breath into the right lung? And as the right lung expands, can you feel all of that space working its way into the tissues in between the ribs? More space around the heart and the shoulder. That nice release in the lower back area. And some of you might be exploring sensation in the outside of the hip, an area that's working hard all of the time to stabilize each of the steps that we take, whether it's on the yoga mat or in our life away from the physical movement practice. I'm going to leave you in silence for the final minute on this side of the body. Three more slow, deep, nourishing breaths. And when the third breath finishes for you, just slowly starting to move the arms and the legs back through to center. Bringing the arms to a place that feels comfortable for your upper back and just pausing in center. Just notice how it feels sensation-wise and space-wise between the right and left side of your body. Feeling of length that's arrived into the tissues, sometimes presenting itself as sensations of heat, releasing. Coolness, tingling. And when you feel ready, just begin to work the arms all the way up overhead again, making our way to the second side. So let's start with the upper body. We'll lift the head, the neck, the shoulders, the upper back, and just move your way over to the right-hand side now. And once the upper body is relaxed down to the ground, just keeping the bottom down, lift the legs and begin to move the legs over to the right side as well. Let it be okay if the legs are wider apart or closer together, and if that looks different to the first side. And then remember to check in with the left arm. Make sure that the arm is in a position that allows the whole of the back of your shoulder and upper back just to melt to the ground. And then slowly start to ease your way into that nice, slow, deep, nourishing breath, with an aim to guiding the breath into the left side body, free of any expectations about how this side might feel compared to the first side. The focus of the practice today is one of trying to release those areas of tension that tend to store around the upper back and the neck, and then working our way down the body to certain areas of the hips, a number of forward folds to allow us to start to ground down and calm our energy. So releasing the things that are stuck in the body, and then creating that sense of ease everywhere else. You might start to notice that there's a feeling of space. You can move a little further into your shape. And some of you might feel like you're good where you are, so you'll stay just as you are. Breathing into the left lung. Notice that expansion of the tissues in between the ribs that we explored on the right side already. Anytime the mind wanders away to the past or the future, just drawing it slowly back into this moment with the breath as your focus. I'm aware that I'm breathing in. I'm aware that I'm breathing out. Coming towards the final minute on this second side. Noticing if you're feeling physical sensation or emotional sensations, releases. Notice if it's easy for your mind to stay focused on the breath, or if there's a need for the mind to wander away as soon as you slow the body down. These ways in which we can explore our habits as we practice this gentle, static pace of moving. Time to pause and notice, observe the inner landscape. Three more breaths here. When the third breath finishes for you, just slowly start to work the arms and the legs back through to center. Bring the arms to a comfortable place, perhaps alongside the body. And just pause and relax. Check in, tune in to how the body's feeling. Notice the sensations between the left and right body. Three breaths just to be. Now, when your third breath finishes, let's just draw the knees in towards the chest. And you have the choice to either rock and roll, so a little bit of movement for the spine up to a seat, or just gently roll to your side and then use your hands to begin to lift you up. Choice is yours. Okay. So we've worked a little bit with the back of the neck and then the outside line of the body. I just want to focus now a little bit more on the side of the neck before we come down towards the hips. So we're going to keep the spine long as we sit up. And we're going to take our right arm behind our back, and hand is reaching towards the side of the waist. It might just get to the lower back though. And then you'll take your other hand up to the sky. You'll lightly take hold of the opposite side of the head. And without any effort, without any gripping or forcing, just gently draw your ear over towards your shoulder. And really relax the fingers. It's more about that gentle pressure of the weight of the hand here. And if this feels good, stay here. If it feels like you're not in the right spot, you can look down a little bit with the chin, or you can just lean back a little. And that's going to then change the sensational place, the location of where you're feeling this. And it can be really nice to let the teeth fall apart. Tongue relaxed. And guide your focus, your awareness into how it feels through the right side of the neck now. When we create the separation of the ear and the shoulder, we're lengthening these tissues that when we tend to be under pressure, we clench this area without realizing a lot. When we curl forward, if we're sitting with our posture a little off from perfect, which myself included, guilty of, you can also create a buildup of pressure and tension around this area. Longer term, that can feel like a tendency for migraines, for headaches, feeling off center. So we're just going to take 5 more breaths here. Relax the fingers, make sure there's no pulling or gripping. And then when that 5th breath finishes for you, just release the hand down to the knee and just gently lift your head back up to center. Keep the eyes closed if you can. Release both hands now to either knee. And just take a moment to pause, a little moment to be aware of how it feels from one side to the other. And then in your own time, taking the left arm behind the back now, reaching that hand gently over to the opposite side of your waist. Reaching the right arm up to the sky, a little bend of the elbow. Hand to the side of the head. And then just a gentle drawing of right ear towards right shoulder. And then check in, notice if you need to turn the head down or lift the head and gaze up a little. Notice areas that you can soften and relax into. Let this be a question that you ask yourself again and again from time to time through every single day. Where can I relax into more? Where can I let go of gripping? Where can I let go of trying to force things to be? How can I slow down and just surrender? Let the left shoulder melt downwards, the space starting to arrive into the connective tissue and fascia between the ear and the shoulder itself. Five more breaths on this side. And when the fifth breath finishes for you, just slowly release the hand from the head to the ground or the knee. Release the opposite hand to the knee as well, and just take a moment to sit tall. Check in and notice how you're feeling. The balance between the two sides of the neck, that feeling of having released. Checking in and noticing how you feel. And when you feel ready, you have the option to stay seated for a seated meditation, a moment of stillness, or you have the option to lie yourself down onto your back, coming into Shavasana. And it might be nice to rest a cushion behind your knees if you need to have something there to support you. And those of you seated, just coming to a place that feels good for your legs, your back. Taking up as much space as you need. And letting the muscles around the eyes and the mouth and the jaw and the neck just start to slow down and relax, soften. And take this opportunity just to simply be still. Nowhere else to be, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Feeling free to stay where you are, to finish the practice for as long as you have the time to do so. And if you're finishing with me, just slowly bringing the hands together at heart center. And bowing your head to your hands wherever you are, seated or lying, in gratitude for your practice, in gratitude for your stillness, in gratitude for your health. Namaste.